Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we're going to talk today about the MSC Seashore and all the things that you can see and do on board. You're not going to see my face during this video. That's because this video really is all about you. I want to help you understand how you can make a decision whether or not to come on board and exactly what you can see and what you can expect. To be completely honest, I am not a huge fan of MSC. I first sailed with them many years ago and I did not have a good experience. Also, they have gotten lots of negative flack over the internet, largely because their entertainment wasn't subpar and their food was horrible. And I'm gonna let you know if that's still the case and whether or not booking a cruise on board is gonna be the right decision for you, your family, and your loved ones, because a cruise is expensive and you deserve to know what you're gonna get into. So let's get started right now. When you get on board, the first thing I recommend you do is go to the sail away party. And this is a party that other cruise lines do. MSC is not unique to this. And it's where the cruisers, most of the cruisers at least, go to the top deck and they dance, they jiggle their body, and they make a fool of themselves. The crew runs this party and it gets cruisers in the right frame of mind for the cruise. This is the atrium. Is the most well decorated, fantastical, if that's even a word, place on board the interior part of the ship. It's the heart and soul of the ship. It has the largest bar at the base of the atrium. It goes up several floors, lots of glass. It's an absolutely beautiful space. So far, so very good, because this space is where you enter and it's wonderful. The images you're looking at right now is of the jungle pool. They call it the jungle pool because it has a jungle theme. There are two whirlpools on either end, and you can see it has a retractable roof. It's a solarium, so if you have bad weather outside, the pool is still going to be operational and you're going to be just fine in there. This is the hidden infinity pool. I call it the hidden infinity pool because it's so hard to find, but it can hold as many as 20 adults, and it's actually a whirlpool. It's actually wonderful. Now, I started off this video by saying MSC did not have a good reputation when it came to food. So we're going to focus quite a bit of attention on the dining experience that you'll have at MSC. The main place where you can get the buffet food while on board is going to be the Marketplace buffet, the Marketplace restaurant, if you will. However, the challenge with this place is that it's the only free place on board. It's one of only a few that you can get free food on board during the daytime or any hours of the day or night. However, the food quality here is fairly exceptional. There's a huge variety, both American things that you will look at and recognize, and also some European, so you can try something new. But overall, the food, the variety, the quantity was really exceptional. One of the best dining experiences from a buffet that I've had on board a cruise ship. If you've never cruised before, this is a restaurant. Everybody dresses up at nighttime and goes to a restaurant. It's a sit-down restaurant, has a white tablecloth, and the table is set very nicely. And the majority of things on the menu is for free. What you're looking at right now is lobster. They usually serve that when you have a 7-day or more cruise. Lobster in all the main courses. You get a appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. All of that is included with your cruise. The food at the Central restaurant, in my opinion, I would describe it as really good, exceptional. We'll talk about staff service in just a little bit, but just so you know, this is not the only included restaurant on board. There's about 5 of them scattered throughout the entire ship. Now, the big thing is, when I was walking around, I thought that they were a different menu and that somehow they were different. The only difference between this and your restaurant, whichever one you get, is the fact that the decor is different. You'll see the walls are a different color, the carpet may be a different color, maybe the seats and everything else, but the reality is the menu is identical. So you're not losing out on anything by going to one of these restaurants or feeling that you're not in the Central restaurant. Everything is the same when it comes to the menu. When it comes to the staff service, it's hit or miss. You can get somebody who's really good at what they do and somebody who's not, and it just depends on the day and the person that you get. There are also specialty restaurants on board. What I mean by that is all the food on board is free except at these places where you have to pay. Now, you may be thinking, why would somebody walk away from good free food and go to one of these specialty restaurants? Well, the reality is they're foodies. They love specialty type foods that are not available in the restaurants that are free or included. And they also just love the display. It's a show. Sometimes you'll have really a good cut of steak, and this is the steakhouse restaurant. So the reality is there are these specialty restaurants that are available that you can pay a la carte. Expect to pay as little as $10 to as much as maybe $60 or more per meal, depending on what you get. If you plan to eat at one or two of these restaurants, if you get a package which will include a certain number of restaurants, then you're going to pay a discounted rate. I recommend you do that if you plan to eat at least two of these restaurants. If you like to drink, get hammered, then you're in the right place. There are a fair number of bars on board. Now, the entire time I was on board, I never saw anyone intoxicated. I'm sure there was plenty of drinking going on, but you're not going to find that rowdy, disorderly behavior that, at least not on the cruise that I was on. So I think they do a good job of making sure they don't overserve people. But if you like to drink and you plan to drink, I definitely recommend you get the drink package, but make sure you do the math. If you can't drink 15 drinks a day, then it may not be the best package for you. But keep in mind, you have to get a package for every adult in your cabin. If you decide that the drink package is for you, make sure you get it before you get on board, because you will save money by ordering it early. Also, even as expensive as the drink package is, you actually save when it compared to other cruise lines. It's not nearly as expensive as some of the other ones. So right now we are just spanning the camera around, and you're taking a look at the largest pool on board. It's the largest open space on board too as well, and it's the Long Island pool. If you want one of these chairs that are right in the water or close to the pool, you're gonna have to get out there pretty early. People reserve it by taking their towel and put it on the chair and then securing their towel to it so it doesn't blow away. You're not supposed to do this. However, nobody stops you and everybody does it. Based on my observation, if you want to get one of these chairs, get out as early as 7:30. By 10, most of the chairs are gone. This is the Pirates Cove water park. You cannot see it from the outside. And there's a huge bucket that dumps massive amounts of water on you. There's a jungle walkway. It has a nice tropical theme to it. It's a great space for kids and adults, because adults were in the pool as well. There are slides associated with it. Make sure if you have kids that you sign the waiver form on the first day so they don't come bother you throughout the rest of the cruise. MSC is a family cruise ship. That means most of the people that you're going to see on board are going to be from all spectrums of society. You're going to find elderly people, middle-aged folks, babies, young families, you name it. Now, reality is that there's some cruise lines out there that only cater to adults. MSC is not one of these cruise lines. However, there is a place on board, and you're looking at it right now, that only caters to adults. So the good news is that there's a person, at least when I was on board, that was watching to make sure that kids didn't invade the space. It has its own pool, its own bar area, its own lounge area. It's a really nice space. So if you're looking for more an adult experience or want to meet other adults, this is a place that you can go. There's also smoking spaces available on board right outside on the main deck. Also, there's smoking in the casino. This is the gym that was aboard, and it's a beautiful gym, one of the most picturesque gym that I've seen on any cruise line. When I walked in here, my initial reaction was, wow. The challenge that I had with this gym is that it was small. So if you want to use cardio equipment in the mornings, there was oftentimes a line, and there's no jogging track. So you couldn't leave and go somewhere else and just kind of jog. Now, there is a well-equipped spa, barber shop, and nail salon on board. So this right here, in my opinion, was super expensive. I didn't use any of the services here, but it is available. So let's talk now about something that if you know anything about me, you know that I'm not a big fan of the yacht club experience. It's a ship within a ship, meaning that there's a whole entire place on board that's excluded. Segregated is a good word, because that's exactly what it is, segregated from the rest of the crew. Now, they have their own entry system, so when you go through customs, they go through faster, and they have a dedicated space, and we'll see all of that space in just a minute, that's just for them. In some respects, you can be on board the entire cruise and not know that this space exists. They have doors that you need a key card to get into, so you can't just walk inside. What we're doing right now is we're walking towards where the yacht club main area is, and you'll see they have their own separate lounge area. The challenge I have with this is that this area would be normally available to other cruise members, but it's segregated off and it's only available to individuals who can afford it. So this right here is not based on whether or not you've cruised for a certain number of time or you have a certain number of points or anything like that. This is just based on the fact that you can afford basically an area that's included and exclusive only for you and other members who can afford it. One of the benefits of the yacht club is that you don't have to deal with some of maybe the congestion that exists on other parts of the ship. Also, your drink package is included if you're a member too as well. Everything is a little bit nicer, so it is an elevated experience. You have your own outdoor space. You can see even the loungers are in better shape and better condition that you would ordinarily find on board the rest of the ship. I've talked to quite a few people who had the yacht club experience and they absolutely loved it. And why wouldn't they? You get the benefits of everything the yacht club has to offer, as well as everything that the rest of the crew has to offer. So it's a wonderful experience if you can afford it. But for me, especially because it was dead smack in the middle of the ship, so you had to really walk around, do odd things in order to get around the yacht club, which made it sort of a big inconvenience for other cruisers as well. I wish they had put it completely to the back of the ship so it was out of sight, out of mind. There is a well-equipped smoking casino on board that has both table and slot games. I mentioned this earlier, but this is a family cruise ship, so you're going to find kids on board, especially if you're cruising during, say, spring break or times when kids are out of school or doing holidays. So there was a lot of kids on board during my sailing. It was a full sailing, and it was doing spring break. So that in and of itself made it for not only a full ship, but full ship with lots of kids and families. Some ships have the reputation of teenagers and adults just going crazy. That was not the experience on board. Everything was well organized, well managed, and there was not any kind of disruptive or disorderly behavior. Teens seemed to behave themselves. It was mostly a family type cruise. So you're not going to find that kind of disruption on board the Seashore. As far as what you're likely to find on board, you're going to find people who are elderly, people like me who are old in their 50s, who just want to have a good time. You're going to find lots of families. So in my opinion, if you're looking for a family cruise that's stress-free, this is so far checking that box. Let's talk about getting around. Using the elevators was a big contention. And the reason why is because it was a smart elevator. What that means is that you press the button and it tells you what elevator to go to. And oftentimes you have to wait an inordinate amount of time. So most people complain about the elevators. When you don't have the smart elevators in other cruise ships, nobody seems to complain. Most people use the stairs to get around. If you have mobility challenges, you're not going to have an issue, because I saw plenty of people with full wheelchairs, mobile devices, you name it, walkers, and they had no problems navigating the ship. They have digital maps on board, which I loved, because not only was it a map, but you can also tells you what's going on. So it was interactive. It was a great step in the right direction. I wish other cruise lines had did that. Let's talk about getting on board the ship, because it seems like on occasion this is a problem with other cruise lines. However, it was not a problem at all. Our boarding was the very last one. However, we got there at 10 o'clock in the morning and they let us on, no problem. We were prepared to wait, but there was no one there and they just told us to go ahead on board the ship. One of the things I love is the fact when I got on board, it looked like they were happy for me to be there. People were cheering, they were dancing, they were doing little things to basically show that, hey, look, welcome aboard. And I loved it. Most of the entertainment is going to be in the main theater, which is what you're looking at right now. It has a huge screen behind it. It has dancers. It was usually full and the entertainment was solid. It was really good. There was, on occasion, people that stood up and cheered because they liked what they saw so much. So the entertainment is, had problems in the past, but as far as how it is today, it is really good. You just saw the sports court. The sports court is literally trashed, way too small. Also, there are paid pool tables as well as shuffleboard. It wasn't very expensive. However, I thought it was very low class. I was not a big fan of that at all. That being said, entertainment is a huge part of how I spend my time on cruise. There's some people who go on cruise ship and they just want to relax. They get up, they go to the pool, they put their towel down, and that's their day. That's not me. I go and I check almost everything on that calendar as far as what to do, and I put it in my own personal planner, and I try to go to all of them. And one of the great things, if you're that kind of person who like to be entertained all the time, or you just like watching people make an absolute fool of themselves, dancing and getting all excited over stupid prizes or what have you, or doing contests that make really no sense. You're gonna be throwing a hat, and you're competing with others, but it was fun. It was fun watching it, and it was even more fun doing it. So one of the things I really enjoyed is that it had a lot of options available for you, and options that people of all ages, from people who are little kids to adults who are in walkers, can enjoy, and everything in between. So if you're one of those people who like to be entertained, or just to sit and watch the whole thing unfold, then you're in the right spot. I hardly ever travel alone. I have a wife and 4 kids, and I usually always bring them with me. And one of the things my kids personally like is the kids club. Not necessarily because of all the activities that go on there, and the activities do keep them entertained, but it's because they can find and connect with other kids. If you have never cruised before, there are stores on board selling the stuff that you will find in malls and online, but people come on board and they love to shop. So if you're one of those people, you're going to enjoy your time on board. And of course, all the bargains come out usually towards the end of the cruise. There's also a white party. One of the things I love about the white party is looking at all the people who are not dressed in white. You can tell that those people either didn't read the memo or have never been on a cruise before, because it's pretty a standard thing where you wear white on one night and you have a white party and everyone's dancing around. So that was one of the entertainment highlights for me on board. In a moment, we're going to take a look at the cabin, and while we do so, I'm going to talk about pricing and what I think about MSC when it comes to whether it's a good deal or bargain. I look at MSC as a bargain cruise line, and I always get comments and people saying that's not a bargain cruise line. Well, a bargain is if you get more than you paid for, and I feel that that's what you get with MSC, at least recently. I paid $1,000 for a 7-day cruise during spring break. Now, if you look at other cruise lines, you're going to find prices that are much higher than that. And the reason why I chose MSC, why I gave it a second shot after having such a horrible experience on it last time, was because they gave me a balcony for $1,000 during spring break. That's a great deal. Not only did I get a balcony, but I thought the room was great. It was well appointed. It was contemporary, carried the design from outside inside the cabin, and it was just a wonderful experience. It looked like it was more roomy than other cabins, and it had a glass pane in the bathroom that you're looking at right there. It was a wonderful cabin, and I felt like I got a good deal for the money. And most of the things I've talked about right now that I've showed you are all included with your fare. So when it comes to MSC being a bargain, I think it checks the bargain box. Me personally, not one to stay in my cabin any more than I need to sleep there. However, if you want to stay there, room service is available at an extra charge. You may recall I said I travel with a big family. Well, this is where my kids slept. This is an interior cabin that can sleep 4 people. It's a tight space for 4 people. The one that you saw that looked like a suite, that was for me and my wife across the hall. But this right here is what you could expect if you wanted a 3-person cabin. You see they have the sofa, that's a pull-out bed, and right behind that sofa, you're gonna see it's a walkout. So it's very different cabin configurations. MSC of all the cruise lines probably have one of the most varied different cabins that are on board. As far as the ship's condition, expect a lot of glass, things that are shiny, reflective. If you like that kind of stuff, then you're going to enjoy being on board. Sometimes this can look like a corny, cheesy type way, but it didn't. It looked like very rich, it looked very modern, it looked very expensive, and it was clean. There were people that were walking around all times of the day and night cleaning and making sure that this ship looked absolutely breathtaking. And it did. It was a beautiful ship. If you don't like cruising, if you're not into it, if it's not your thing, the good news is that every ship goes somewhere. So there's going to be an opportunity for you to get off and see a different part of the world that you're not accustomed to, that you're not used to, meet people, different languages, eat food that's maybe strange to you that you probably wouldn't ordinarily have experienced. So the good news is that if you're not happy with being on board or not excited about taking a cruise, it's going to take you somewhere. I recommend you get off the ship, experience it, go take an excursion, do something that is fun and exciting. Now, if you're not into the excursions, you can just book something on your own or just go to the port and simply walk around. As you may already know, there are lots of cruise lines out there. MSC is not the only person in town, and I'm not paid anything by MSC to make this video. They're not giving me not a dime. I wish they would, but if you're listening, MSC, contact me. However, they're not giving me anything to make this video. This is just my own personal thoughts. Overall, MSC started out bad. I mean, it was, in my opinion, horrible. But if you ever sailed with MSC before in the past and had a negative experience, I recommend you give it a second try. Now, the ship by no means was perfect. There were certainly flaws that you'll find that I didn't catch. However, overall, when it comes to a person who sailed quite often, I think it was a very good value for the money. It was a good experience. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. The two things that they had problems with in the past was the food and entertainment, and I think they really fixed that. So the reality is, would I think you'll enjoy your time on board? The answer to that question is a resounding yes.